This meeting of the Anderson Township Board of Zoning Appeals is hereby called to order. This board was established pursuant to Section 519.13 of the Ohio Revised Code by the Anderson Township trustees to provide relief to any person or entity adversely affected by the Anderson Township zoning resolution or the strict interpretation of it. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Haber?
Here.
Mr. Halpin?
Here.
Mr. Nesilovich?
Here.
Mr. Cyan?
Here.
And Mr. Hayes?
Here. Thank you for coming to this meeting of the Anderson Township Board of Zoning Appeals. Please be aware that this meeting is audio and videotaped and may be carried live on television. First, I'll outline our procedures. A summary of the appeal is presented by the staff, then the appellant will present its case. The board members will then ask questions of the appellant. After that, all persons supporting the appeal will be permitted to testify one at a time after being recognized by the chair. When those persons supporting the appeal are finished, those opposed to the appeal will then be permitted to testify and/or ask questions of the board after being recognized by the chair. All persons wishing to testify, whether for or against an appeal, may only do so after being sworn in. When testifying, each person must come forward to the podium, right there, after being recognized, speak into the microphone and state their name, address, and any affiliation to the case. All persons testifying will be limited to 4 minutes unless a board member requests additional time. All testimony is given to the board only. No comments or questions are to be directed to the appellant or anyone else in the audience. The reason for this is that this is the board's decision rather than a popular discussion. The board will only hear new, non-repetitive evidence or questions. Should someone wish to show support of previous testimony, they may do so by following the testimony procedures and stating their support of the previous testimony. Now, will all persons who may give testimony this evening please stand and raise your right hand? And swear or affirm. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Thank you. Are there any changes to tonight's agenda? Seeing none, the agenda stands as submitted. We need to approve the minutes of August 3rd. I know that I submitted one small one, and I saw that the latest draft contained that adjustment. Are there any other changes to the minutes of August 3rd? None. Okay. Can I have a motion for approval now?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the minutes of August 3rd, 2017 as amended.
Second the motion.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Would the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Haber?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye.
Mr. Nesilovich?
Abstain.
Mr. Cyan?
Aye.
And Mr. Hayes?
Aye. Thank you all. And your abstention was because you were not here?
Correct.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah. Okay, so we are ready to move on to consideration of case 21-2017 BZA, property at 977 8 Mile Road. Would the staff please present the summary of the case?
So our case for tonight is case 21-2017 BZA. The property owners are Carl and Robin Bading. It's located at 977 8 Mile Road. It's zoned B residence, and they are requesting a variance to allow a detached garage to be located in the front yard of their property, which is per Article 5.2A7. So this is a map of the property from Cages showing the extent of their property. Let me get a laser pointer. So their property starts from here on 8 Mile, follows along the back, and then goes across and forward. This is a more zoomed out aerial map to show the trees located on the property, the buffer around the western and south sides of the property. This is a topography map showing how flat their property is. And that is a scan of their letter. This is the site plan that was submitted. So 8 Mile is over here. This is the location of the detached garage. It will be over 100 feet from all property lines and adjacent properties in the east. This is the layout of the detached garage. It's going to contain both a screened-in porch and a covered porch, and have, it's going to be 52 feet wide and 28 feet long. So the next images didn't scan correctly, but they are in your packet. They fold out. They just didn't scan correctly. This is one of them. This is a second one. And then this is showing the west elevation with the screened-in porch. So from the top of the roof line, it's going to be 16 feet high, which we take roof height from the middle pitch, so it is within our height standards.
Of 15 feet.
Yes. So this is showing the east elevation. The next slides are all pictures. So this is looking west, starting from 8 Mile. So their house is this one back here. This is showing the first property that is to the east of them, but front, so 8 Mile is once again down here. This is behind them. The detached garage will be at about right there. Again, looking straight forward at their property from 8 Mile. Once on their property, this is looking northwest from their driveway. This is looking back towards 8 Mile, so 8 Miles all the way down here. But there is one property owner north of them from their driveway. This is looking out onto the property from their driveway. This is looking northwest at their property, so this is their house. This is the outline that the property owner made of where the detached garage is going to be. Again, this is the yellow outline of where it's going to sit. This is from their driveway looking west. And then this is looking back towards 8 Mile from about midway of their driveway. So staff's findings for case 21-2017 is that the variance is not substantial. The location of the proposed detached garage, as I stated before, is over 100 feet behind two existing single-family homes, which is in the vicinity of those single-family homes' rear yards. However, it is considered to be the front yard of this house. It will sit behind the plane of the house and be parallel with an existing patio. The essential character of the neighborhood will not be substantially altered, and adjoining properties will not suffer substantial detriment as a result of the variance. The property sits back off of 8 Mile and is a panhandle lot. The detached garage will sit 325 feet back from 8 Mile and over 100 feet from all other property lines, as stated before. The surrounding properties on 8 Mile would buffer the detached garage from the street, along with existing trees. The variance will not adversely affect the delivery of governmental services, and the property owner's predicament cannot be feasibly obviated through other methods other than a variance. The applicant actually came in and discussed this with us before coming to Board of Zoning Appeals. They could and did think about constructing this on the other side of their property in the area that would be considered their rear yard. However, it would require them to tear down several trees that protect their rear yard, and that protect their house from direct sunlight. And then these are the standards to be considered when evaluating. Are there any questions of staff?
Yeah, Sarah, would you go back to one of the plans? Because I want to make sure I understand in that small picture, probably aerial view,
Yeah.
because that contains the whole, I want to make sure I understand where the front yard is and where the rear yard is. Go back to the other one, which is zoomed out a little bit more.
Oh, this one?
That one right there.
Okay.
Where is the front yard? Where is the rear yard, if you would, please?
Yeah, so this portion from 8 Mile is considered the front yard, and it would span back, which is why from their plane of their house.
Well, the front yard, as required by zoning, is how much? Because I see all these other houses on 5 Mile, they're probably put back 30 feet, 50 feet, or something like that. Is the front yard the same with this house? Or
They-
because it's a panhandle, where does that front yard extend?
Do you mean their setback?
Yes.
So they would follow B setback, which I believe is only, I forgot my book. Oh, you have it.
5-2?
Yeah, 52A7, 52, yeah.
I can't find it
It's
fast
in the
enough.
beginning, I believe. Sorry.
And I guess maybe there's another question that goes along with this, is that there's a required front yard and there is a front yard.
The required front yard setback of B is 35 feet.
Okay, so if you go back to the plan, that is not measured from 8 Mile.
No.
Is that measured from one of these other north-south property lines? You know, where it says,
We still consider,
It's 8 Mile.
it would be from 8 Mile.
8 Mile, okay.
So the 35 feet,
Okay,
Like
so
right
then
here.
the rear yard then is to the left of the house.
yes.
And I don't know what it is, and it's probably not germane because we're 231 feet, but we're saying that the accessory structure should go into the rear yard, and they have what I'm assuming is a large building area, potentially large building area, and the accessory building is going in that large building area where they could place the house in any one of those locations, provided that they satisfied front, rear yard, and side yard requirements. Okay? Okay, so one other question is then, does the design conform to all other respects of the code?
Yes.
So it's only 30% of the rear yard and whatnot?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm good, thank you.
No problem.
It's far less than 30%.
Far less than 30%.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that, you know, it being a weird lot for me, I wanted to get that clarification, so. Perfect, thank you.
Other questions of staff? No? I have one, and it may not be germane to this case or property, but I didn't pick up on the plot just above it that looks like it should be a 10-foot panhandle classic strip there, but I didn't notice what that is going to, if anything.
There are, I wonder if this aerial shows it.
I don't know if it's an easement.
It's an easement between these two, and this property has a driveway that runs next to it, but it's not being used.
Looks like an easement. I don't know what that is.
But it was laid out as a plot.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
So ignore it, don't worry about it. Okay?
It's not part of their property.
It's not part of theirs,
No.
okay. Okay. No other questions for the staff? Okay. Will the appellant, or the appellant's representative, please come forward? State your name and address.
Carl Bading, 977 8 Mile Road, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45255.
Present your case, sure. Go ahead.
Well, using the, I guess, the outline for Board of Zoning Appeals. The staff findings pretty much mirror my own. Building this garage would enhance my property significantly, both personally and financially. It's going to be a nice garage, and we'll do a lot of landscaping, and the patio is going to blend into it, and it's all going to be kind of a seamless deal. It's not a substantial variance given the fact that our lot is so large and the setbacks and the distances from all the properties around us are more than 100, and in some cases a lot more than 100. All the utilities to my property are underground and would not be affected by any of this. We didn't know the requirement was there when we bought the property, although it's been kind of a plan all along as we search for a property to build a garage. We seriously considered the rear plan because somebody wanted it in the rear, and we were going to lose 2 huge pine trees, and that's like afternoon shade in the baking sun that shade the house and the patio from heat. The cost, I got estimates on the cost to blacktop all the way around the house to the garage, and it was between $10,000 and $15,000. I've got a couple of friends who are engineers and builders, and they came over and we had a big brainstorming session, and they both said, why don't you build it on the other side of the house? So we took it under consideration, and that's kind of when we started going forward with the plan, and I was turned down because of the front yard requirement. So as I have it drawn out and planned, the garage would sit behind the 2 houses directly in front of our yard, in front of our side yard, I guess you'd say. In spirit of the ordinance, they'd be behind somebody's house anyway. I have signed declarations from most of the neighbors in front and on the side of us saying they have no objections to building the garage. They all said, go for it. The 3 right across the street, the 2 on the north side, 983 and 989. 971, I have his. 961, she's 93 years old. Her daughter lives in 989 and said, Mom says go for it. She's interested and looking forward to watching him build it. 953, his name is Jim Alford, and he was the one who actually said, you should have people sign. And he said, I'd be happy to do that. And then he's been out of town for 10 weeks or 10 days. So I wasn't able to catch him to sign the thing that I had. But 953, Jim Alford, he said, same thing, go for it. I didn't talk to anybody around the side and back because, for the most part, they won't really be able to see it too much. It shouldn't affect them.
You mean the people to the north, sir?
Northwest.
North and west, okay.
Further south than 953. The green is considerable between the houses south of there. So, I say we're happy to be here in Anderson, and I say it took us 5 years to find a place that we really liked, and we're happy here. So, that's all.
Thank you, sir. Questions of the appellant?
2 questions. Is the front of your house on the north side?
Front door is
The front
on the
door.
north side, correct.
Okay. Is that the door you use most of the time, or?
Normally we go in and out through the garage.
Through the garage.
Coming home, you open the garage door
Yeah.
and walk in, and I've got a side entry on the garage as well. One of those garage doors.
Okay. Second question is, what are you anticipating for materials on the outside?
It's a pole barn, metal building, metal roof.
Metal roof, okay. And then what's the siding?
It's all metal.
It's all metal? Okay.
They have, I think, the builder I'm using has like 17 different colors, and we haven't really looked at the colors yet, but
Okay.
we're gonna try to make it, look nice and blend in with the surrounding area. We'll probably do something on the house. Our house is just a light brick trimmed in white. We'll tie the two together somehow with whatever color scheme we come up with.
Okay.
Probably something fairly neutral. And
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
None from me.
I have two, sir. The staff reported that the outline of the yellow tape was roughly the layout of where you want to position
Yes, sir.
the additional structure there. So that is correct. That is where you want to put it.
without getting down to,
Yeah, we can't measure.
inches, yeah.
We can't measure.
It's
that
measured out and
quickly.
squared up, and
Okay,
we took our measurements for the boundary lines off of those basic corners
okay.
to the nearest points.
And that's going to require that you pull out a couple of trees then, probably. Is that correct?
The 3 maple trees that are closest to the corner of the house are in bad shape. There's a lot of dead wood in them, and,
Yeah, they didn't look healthy.
yeah. Matter of fact, if this goes forward, I'm probably not going to be able to build till early spring, March. There's a great big dead branch that hangs out over the driveway that I'm going to have to,
gotta get
hate
it
to
out.
pay for it twice, but I got to get that out of there before it falls on one of the vehicles or on the corner of the house. But
But
yeah,
there-
there's a lot of dead wood.
But they're going anyhow, right?
If I wasn't building the garage there, I'd be tempted to maybe try to save them, because I don't like to cut down trees just to cut down trees. I've got an ash in the front of the yard right by the driveway in the street that's going to have to come down, so it looks like kind of one fell swoop.
Okay. Thank you, sir. No other questions for the appellant? No. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now, anyone wishing to speak in favor of granting this variance? Please come forward, ma'am, and state your name and address and any affiliation to the case.
I'm Robin Bading, 977 8 Mile Road. I am a property owner at 977. As we talked about this project, and when he said someone wanted it in the back of the house, that was me. And it took a little while for me to come around with how it's going to look and the position of it. I am very much interested in having something aesthetically attractive. I don't want the first thing you see when you pull up to my house to be an ugly structure or a garage. This is going to be done nicely. And when he says it's a metal building, it is, but we have options to do siding on the side that, as he says, will tie in, and the siding that's, over the garage and such will do in the same color. And landscaping. We will definitely be doing some shrubbery, what have you, around it, shutters on those windows. It's going to be attractive. I guarantee it. I think that's
Good.
all I have.
Any questions
Oh.
of this testimony? None. Thank you, man, and thank you especially for clearing that up, because I thought he was implying that the township wanted him to put it in the other side of the house. It was you.
It was me.
Okay. We'll now take testimony from those persons who support the appeal. Seeing none, and I'm going to guess that there's no one that wishes to speak against granting this variance. Okay. Are there any further questions from the board to anyone? Okay, ready to close the public hearing on this one? Public hearing is closed on this case. Since we have no other cases, the public hearing is closed completely. We will take no further testimony. Now it's time for the board to debate the issue and to come up with a straw vote. Who wants to start with the discussion of this case?
I'm okay with it. I think it'll be a nice addition to the property, and it'll add to the value. And since no neighbors show any interest in one, attending, and two, signing papers to say that they're willing to let it happen. Plus, I did drive by the property, per your suggestion last time.
Good.
So, it's back there. So, but I can understand, when I built a house in Anderson, and the last thing I wanted was the garage to be the first thing people see, and they flipped the house on me, Doug Meyer did, and ended up, the garage was, we live in a little back corner, and the first thing you see in that house, where my first wife lives, is the garage. So, there you have it.
Yeah, that's kind of what we have now, because our house faces sideways.
Yeah, that's what you
And
see.
you drive down the driveway, and it's just
The
a two-car
garage.
garage door.
From 8 Mile,
I
you can
think
see
actually
it.
this is an improvement.
Well, you bring up the issue of the signed papers. Do you have copies of the signed
Do not.
papers?
I
Okay.
can give those to you, and you can make copies.
Thank you.
Do we want to bring them into the record?
I don't think it's necessary.
No.
Nobody showed up, so
Yeah.
I think if it was important, they'd be here.
Yep.
If it was important to the neighbors, they'd be here. So anyway, I'm okay with it.
Others?
I'm okay with it. The setback is so far that I don't think it's a real detriment to anyone, so I'm good.
I echo what they said.
Mr. Haver, you're unusually quiet this evening.
I am. I'll start. I think this is a classic example, and I went and saw it today because I wanted to get a feel for this island of a property being backed by all the residences around. So from a planning point of view, I mean, and I wanted to get that clarity about the front yard and the backyard, but to me, regarding the impact on the neighborhood, you could put this thing anywhere around the house you wanted to, and it'd still have the same impact. So to say that it had to go into the rear yard, just because it's rear yard, to me is a moot situation. Where is the best place to put it for the landowner, for the appellant? The only one was this 983, which is the only one that faces, and I believe the appellant has something from that. There's no opposition from them. So for me, it's a reasonable variance for them to have to put it back there. The hardship that they would have to incur with the additional asphalt paving makes a lot of sense to me. Staff's report covers it as well. I want to throw out for discussion if anybody has any concerns about the materials being used, because it is not necessarily, in my world, a residential garage. If anybody has any concerns about the materials, or whether it's even germane to what we're doing here.
It usually is. So yes, I agree. I'm not sure how to word that restriction or that condition that we would want to put on it.
Right.
The metal finishes of today are much more sophisticated, and it really is a color choice. And one way to potentially word the condition is that it be roughly color matched to blend in with the house itself.
Okay.
And a metal finish coloring on that would still be fine, I think.
So there'd be
With the white
some connection.
From a coloring standpoint.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Couldn't do a texture kind of standard.
Right.
Because it's metal versus the brick
Right.
of the house.
I think that given where it is and recognizing that it'd be difficult to see it from the street, I don't know that we should be involved in that piece, because the owner seems to have interest in making sure that it fits the house. And you can always change the house color, but once you set a color on a metal, I guess you can change that too. But I would think I would want it to match up as close as possible. So I think I heard that said, that they want to match it up. So I don't know that we need to put a restriction on that, or a covenant to that issue.
Condition.
Condition.
Yeah.
So that's my thought.
Other thoughts?
If it was more visible, I would say, yeah, we would maybe try to put some kind of color condition, but I don't want to limit anyone on what they, I don't think there's going to be anything wild going on here, so I think just leaving it as is, I think.
Mr. Sine?
I concur. I see, based on the distance, the location, the desires of the appellants, it's going to be, traditional, matching, close to the house or close to the neighborhood. I see no need for any restrictions.
And then I'm going to take that off the table. Okay?
Good, thank you. And I agree with everything that has been said, including the consideration, but also the removal of it. I agree with. The consideration of the appearance from 983 is interesting to me in that without the zoning regulation restriction of seeing the front yard or declaring the front yard from the street back to the property line, 983 would view this property as facing the property, and the garage is actually placed in the rear yard.
Right. That's another good point.
So it would be it would be out of the it would not be an issue for 983 property owners at all. So I think what we're faced with here is the technical issue in the zoning regulations that the front yard is known as the property from the street to the first part of the building line. And that's what we are facing here, is that a strict interpretation of the zoning resolution would prohibit the additional structure there. But all other things point to the fact that it's a very natural place to put it and reasonable for the property owner from a cost and hardship standpoint. So I'm in complete agreement. Can I get a straw vote motion?
Mr. Chairman, regarding case number 21-2017 BZA at 977 8 Mile Road, I move that the Board of Zoning Appeals grant the variance to allow the appellant to construct a detached garage to be located in the front yard. Supporting this motion is I'm citing staff's findings, which staff read earlier in the meeting. And I'm trying to find some other things here. Conditions are in substantial conformance with the drawings that we have dated August 14th, 2017. I said substantial conformance. That construction would be started within 1 year and completed within 2 years. And I'm just trying to make sure I'm scanning everything that we need to add in support. So I'm going to stop with my motion and then ask if there's any friendly amendments that people want to add to that before we second.
I have nothing. I think you covered it.
Second.
Who seconded? Mr. Naslevich. Any further discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Would the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Haber?
Aye.
Mr. Melvin?
Aye.
Mr. Nestor?
Aye.
Mr. Simon?
Aye.
Mr. Hayes?
Aye. That was essentially a straw vote that the board is fully approving, but we now have to stay and continue to work on the formality of the detailed wording of that, which we will do. We will stay here and do that tonight and make the formal motion later on to approve and journalize that. And then that would be available in the next few days, and you can talk with with Sarah about that in particular, when you can pick that up. Okay, so we are,
You're more than welcome to stay.
yeah, you're more than welcome to stay.
Or we could go to the party.
You can go to the party. Just keep the noise down if you go to the party.
Is there free food at that party?
No, it's not free. But we are temporarily adjourned until we, or we're in recess until we get the administrative stuff up.
Cool. Thank you.
Turn your...
Thank you very much.
It's in the third line of the first paragraph, it's Zone B residence.
I'm ready.
Same.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Chairman, regarding case number 21-2017 BZA, I move that we approve and journal our decision.
Second motion.
Any discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. The secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Haber?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye.
Mr. Nesselowitz?
Aye.
Mr. Science?
Aye.
Mr. Hicks?
Aye.
There we go.
Thank you all. One final point is an announcement that I have to make, that I am still a citizen of this fantastic township, but in the middle of moving out. And unfortunately, I had to move out over to Claremont County. And so I should officially resign from this board at this time, my last official act. And I would assume that the vice chair would move in for the rest of the year, a couple more meetings, 3 more meetings.
Who's that?
That might be you.
I'm moving out too.
You are? I thought you liked this work. I
So-
love this work. But not enough to stay.
No. So you're officially tendering your resignation,
I have to.
effective at the end of this
Yeah,
week?
by Paul's counsel is that when I am no longer a resident, which I still officially am, but may not be by the next meeting, I shouldn't hang on any longer. And so, yes, I'll officially tender my resignation.
Okay. So,
I've enjoyed working with all of you. I've enjoyed working over the many years with all of you.
so then let's,
Particularly liked working with you, Sarah, with the speed here tonight. It's unbelievable.
so then, as vice chair, I will chair the next meeting, and I think we need to have election of officers, because then we need another vice chair. And I want this body to affirm my chairing the rest of the year as well. So let's put that on the agenda. I was really pleased that, based on how we reconstituted the board from people, that you were able to stay on another year as chair. You know, last year was we didn't have that many cases, and I was pleased to serve under your leadership, and you did a damn fine job, and it's been fun, and you're going to be missed. So thank you.
I will miss it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You can still come and listen.
Yeah.
I can, even as a non-resident, as a visitor, if I promise not to say anything.
Amendments?
Thanks all.
Thank you.
We are done. We are adjourned.